We got
I
people
know that
backstage. Wait.
I know that you were the owner of Right Way Security, right? Doing
Okay.
so, and I knew that you specifically uh had Frank Alexander to end up being the principal for Pac. So
He
why?
was one. He was one. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, he was one, but as others, but he was like the main one that ended up being the principal for Pac in the latter times, right? So my
Not
question,
not the last week, not the last 6 weeks. Well, guy Al Giddens and Michael Moore, the last 6 weeks. Frank was off on vacation the last 6 weeks. Once they came from Italy, he took off for 5 weeks. But go ahead.
okay, well, okay, but I'm specifically now talking about the Vegas incident.
Okay.
Why was it passed down from you during that time, knowing that the type of city that Las Vegas was, would you have your security guards to not be armed or have any phones or any kind of dealings, anything on them where they're going to a fight in Las Vegas? Why would you, have that meeting with an attorney and say that to them during that time and causing and not being in the presence of Snoop and Suge and knowing that they were unarmed and didn't have ample security during that time as well. And the reason why I say I have a vested interest in it, because I also want to ask you after you answer this, there's tape recordings of you making threats to Frank Alexander if
Do
he
you
didn't.
call that threats by saying what you going to do because he's refusing to come and do his job and testify, and asking him
uh,
what he going to do? That's not a
well,
threat, baby. That's not
no,
how I talk. But
no,
but but
no.
let me answer your question, because I hate for
Okay.
things to get thrown out. That's opinion that's been answered 1,000 times. But number one, the bodyguards was not told to not carry guns.
Why did why did
So
he
wait a
just
minute.
get so
So
I know what you can get at, but why did he get so angry and defensive with OG Patrice when
because
she
she's
said
asking him pointed questions.
right when
She's
when she
she's
said
asking
you was
pointed questions.
threatening Frank? We all heard him threatening Frank. He trying to say that ain't no threat now.
Well, and again, we have multiple. I mean, he can try and discount one guy, one guy, one guy, one guy, one guy, one guy. We have multiple people who said they were told not to carry their weapons.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Multiple people were told that. Why would everybody lie on this guy? It's a Reggie against the world, isn't it now? It's a me against the world. Oh, yeah. Everybody, yeah. Just like, okay, now here's the other thing. He came up with this boner statement early on that Tupac was never going to leave death row. That why would he give up his freedom? That was his argument for the longest time. When we did Battle for Compton, I listed 20 witnesses who all said they had personal firsthand knowledge that he was going to leave death row. And you know how many people didn't? Him. That was it. He was the only one. 20 people said he was. He said he wasn't. Now, carrying the guards, carrying the weapons. He's the only one who says, I never told anybody that. You got multiple witnesses that say that, okay? And they're even saying it on phone calls to each other. Why would they lie to each other on a phone call when one of them didn't even know he was being taped? Okay.
Right.
Michael Moore didn't even know Frank Alexander was tape recording him.
Right.
And they're talking about it. Okay. No way.
Right.
Too many people, too many witnesses against one guy.
That's right. 100%.
Everybody else is wrong.
That they
Right.
were unarmed and didn't have ample security during that time as well. And the reason why I say I have a vested interest in it, because I also want to ask you after you answer this, there's tape recordings of you making threats to Frank Alexander if he
Do you
didn't.
call that threats by saying what you going to do because he's refusing to come and do his job and testify, and asking him
uh,
what he going to do? That's not a
well,
threat, baby. That's not
no,
how I talk.
You fired
But,
no,
him
but, but
by
let me
that
answer your
time.
question, because
He didn't
I
know
hate
you
for
were
things to
doing
get
it all
thrown
to do
out.
anything.
That's opinion that's been answered 1,000 times. But number one, the bodyguards was not told to not carry guns. Read Frank's book. You done researched all this stuff. I'm sure you
but that's
know.
not what
Frank,
Mike said,
Oh,
and that's
go
not what
ahead. Let
Frank
me answer. Please
Alexander.
don't cut me off. I didn't cut you off when you was asking your question.
Okay, my
Okay.
apology. Go.
Yeah. So
okay.
Frank Alexander once said in his book, he didn't retrieve his gun from his car when Pac asked him to drive them in the Lexar at the last minute because he didn't want to hold up the entourage. So that showed you that the bodyguards are supposed to have their guns. The only people that was not supposed to have guns in Vegas, which is unfortunate to Right Way and Reggie Wright, that he had 2 or 3 different details going on, was the people that was working at the nightclub, inside of a nightclub.
He's so incompetent, he can't run 2 or 3 details. The owner of a security company, he can't control 2 or 3 details going on, right? That's too much. Too many people. Too much going on. Can't control that. Besides, I got to pay attention to the nightclub.
And you had 20-some cops. You tell me you had 20-some cops that day, and you only had Frank with the entourage of people.
I suppose Suge Knight was lying to Michael Carlin when he said that he told Reggie to get the guys from the club and come down there. So Reggie, why don't you call him? Why don't you have the temerity? Why don't you have the temerity, the chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, the balls, whatever, that you want to get on there? You call Suge Knight a liar. You call him a liar. You say Suge Knight lied to Michael Carlin. Have the temerity to say that, because Suge says, and it's on recording, it's all over the place. You heard it, Art. He said he told Reggie to bring, and I know Reggie's going to watch this. He told you to bring extra guys from the club. You didn't do it. Okay. You didn't do it, but you get on there on YouTube, on your channel, and you say this statement. Suge Knight is a liar. He lied about saying that he called and told me to bring 5 guys for the club. And he lied because he was telling Michael Carlin something that Michael Carlin wanted to hear. Let me hear you say that, because you're calling your own man a liar.
Right.
Okay. Say it. Have the balls to say it. Come out and say it.
All right.
Not the bodyguards. There were 2 different details, babe. And those were the ones that was the meeting was for. It was for the people that was working at the nightclub, not the people that were working and doing bodyguard details. Now,
that's a motherfucking lie, right?
Wait a minute, hold on.
Because Frank and Michael Moore was at that meeting.
Right. And and Frank was going to work at the club later. We know that. But did he just say there were 2 meetings? Because Death Row Dave said that they had another meeting later on, that Death Row Dave wasn't at that one at the TGI Fridays. He was at a different meeting where they were told not to carry any weapons.
Right.
So he's claiming that there were 2 meetings. Roll that back. I think he said
so.
There were
Frank
2 meetings.
Alexander once said in his book, he didn't retrieve his gun from his car when Pac asked him to drive them in the Lexar at the last minute because he didn't want to hold up the entourage. So that showed you that the bodyguards are supposed to have their guns. The only people that was not supposed to have guns in Vegas, which is unfortunate to Right Way and Reggie Wright, that he had 2 or 3 different details going on, was the people that was working at the nightclub, inside of a nightclub, not the bodyguards. There were 2 different details, babe. And those were the ones that was the meeting was for. It was for the people that was working at the nightclub, not the people that were working and doing bodyguard details. Now, you bring up a good question about the walkie-talkies. That was Frank's first day back.
Let me see, Frank. Let me find him.
Frank's first day back. And he
Frank, yeah.
didn't get his
All right, line art's looking pretty good. Let's use Gen Recolor and bring it to life.
I hate it when people start using pictures from my movies and my premieres.
Person that he would release, meaning Michael Moore. They probably had a charger.
You see, the whole time he can't look straight. I tell you, every time he lies, he's looking off to the left. He can't even look straight this whole fucking conversation because he's lying. Watch him.
In their room at the hotel. He neglected to not have the walkie-talkie charge or whatever. As far as they say, I still don't know that today that's true or not.
Wow.
The third
Wow.
thing, and
Wow. 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 This is the head of security for the record label saying that he don't know what the hell was going on with his crew at the time. And maybe they had a charger and maybe they did. This is a new story now. Maybe they had a charger in the room and he just didn't charge his phone. That's the latest. I've been doing this 17 years. I've heard so many different versions of this. And this is the latest. They didn't charge their phone. And then he goes, well, I really don't know what was going on. Yeah, no shit. Wow. Wow. Yeah, in other news, sky is blue. Okay?
Let me tell you how bullshit that is, right?
It is.
Because even when I worked at like BET, we used to call the security guys the men in black. When you walk in the security office, them niggas got a tray charger where stacks of walkie-talkies go in there, and you go, and you pick up your walkie-talkie. They stay on the charger. There's a whole unit. You tell me you're a professional company, and your man's they got to bring their walkie-talkie to work.
They had a charger in their room. Yeah, I'm sure Michael Moore packed that with his gear. Okay. First off, Michael Moore didn't have a radio. Second off, Frank didn't have a radio, and he had to call him from a payphone several times. And at no time, you don't have a radio? I got 20 guys standing out here. They all got radios. It's 5 minutes from the club to where they were. Let me run you down a radio. This clown even said that he went to the MGM. He went there, walked around and saw what was going on and left to go to Club 662. He walked away. He saw what was going on and walked away.
He says that?
Yes. Yes. Look up the video.
Wait till you see what he say next then.
Yeah, okay.
This fool is a stupid. Oh, he's stupid.
the most important thing